Can Cypress really log you in like a human user? Let's find out. I'm about to write my first objective test with Cypress. The goal is simple. Make sure a login page works. I can log in with correct credentials and get an error with wrong ones. I want to run this test against a real site, but I can't show my actual project details in the videos. So for practice, I'll use the Sauce demo site. It's built for automation practice and doesn't require creating an account. Later, I can apply the same approach to my real site. Before writing any tests, we need to take a look at the login page structure and figure out the test scenarios we want to cover. I wrote 4 scenarios that pretty much handle all the common login states and errors. You can reuse these scenarios for almost any other site's login page too. The first scenario checks a successful login with a correct username and password. The second scenario checks an unsuccessful login with a wrong username and password. You could test more combinations here, but I'm keeping it simple and going with the case where both inputs are incorrect. The third scenario tests what happens when the user is locked out. This might look slightly different from site to site, but most websites have some state where the credentials are valid but the user still can't log in. The fourth scenario checks the errors that show up when the input fields are left empty. These 4 give us a solid baseline for testing any login system, and they set us up nicely for writing the actual test code. Now it's finally time to start writing the tests. Before I jump into the actual test steps, I want to set up the basic structure of my test file. The first thing to write is the describe block. Describe groups together a set of tests that all belong to the same feature or module. In my case, all these tests are about the login page, so I'll start like this. After that, I like to add the basic structure for my tests, the if blocks. Normally, you'd write each it one by one, but since I want to show the overall structure before dealing with the details, I'm adding them all right away. Each it defines a single test that checks a specific behavior of the system. Now it's time to write my test. Here's the plan. We open the site, type the username into the username field, enter the password, and hit the login button. To load the site, I'm using this code. This time I'm making sure the assertion for checking the page load is written correctly. And if you don't know what went wrong with this assertion in the previous video, go check it out. Now I need to tell Cypress how to find the username field and type into it. For that, I'm using the DOM. The username input has several attributes, but I'm going with data test. I could have used the class, placeholder, or even the ID, but this one is clean and reliable. And here's the assertion. For the password field, I'm using the ID. Assertions are super helpful. If something fails, you immediately know whether the inputs were correct. For the login button, there are a few ways to select it, and I'm using its class. On this site, the login button is actually an input element of type submit. If it were a real button element, I could have used the element type too. Now it's time for the final assertion to confirm the login worked. Before writing it, I manually log in once to check the URL and copy the part 1 need. Then I save the file. And it's time to run the test. To run only this test, I'm using .only. This is super handy when you're working with bigger test suites and want to debug one test without running everything, and the test passed with no issues. I quickly review the assertions to make sure everything important is being verified. That's it. In this video, I wrote and successfully ran my first login scenario test. In the next videos, I'll write the remaining scenarios and complete the login test suite. Don't forget to subscribe so you can follow along as we build the rest of the tests.